sitting comfortably?
Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of Are You Sitting Comfortably on East London Radio. You're listening to me, Roo, and...
Me, Scott. Good afternoon. Hello.
Scott's back.
I am.
How's it going?
It's good. That music was... I was tingling. It was...
Creepy music to have a cup of green tea to.
Yes, I am sat here with my cuppa. It's lovely.
Any ideas where that music is from?
I'm going to say it's one of the Terminator films.
Oh, it's one of the Terminator films indeed. It's Terminator 2 Judgment Day. The music there by Brad Fiedel.
How exciting.
Very creepy. It works for me. I like it. I love a bit of weird, ominous kind of... imagine listening to that music while walking home alone at night or something down
like
alleyways.
It started coming out of the walls kind of thing.
Yeah.
It'd just be terrifying. And it's interesting that you went with the atmospheric music rather than the iconic dun-dun-dun-dun-dun.
Well, the reason why is because there's a lot... Perhaps it was iconic at the time, but now a lot of movies do the dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Just listen to Bourne movies, all it is, just endless drums. So I prefer something a little bit stranger.
Or, as well as the endless drums, there's also the drama foghorn, which we'll come on to in a minute.
You mean the Hans foghorn?
Yep. Something dramatic is happening.
Yes, I think when Hans was a boy, he loved ferries. He just can't get enough of them. So yes, that was the T-1000 Terminator. That's the name of the track. We've got some more music from Terminator coming up, but not from Terminator 1, 2, 3, or Salvation. Instead, from Terminator Genisys, which we saw last week. That music by Lorne Balfe. But before we get to talking about Terminator, we are going to discuss some very exciting movie news because we've seen some exciting trailers.
Yes, we spent a lot of time on YouTube and other video streaming websites, some of them not for general consumption, but they were lots of fun.
Yes, we're not going to be discussing those on the show.
I've got the wrong notes. I'll be back in a minute.
Okay, so the one of the most exciting trailers that we saw was Superman versus Batman. We will be discussing that, but shortly after, naturally, a bit of magic by John Williams.
Oh, he's the man.
John Williams is a genius. He loves his little, I finished, no I haven't, I finished, a little extra fart from the trumpet there. He loves it, doesn't he?
It makes my cape flap just thinking about it.
Oh! Yes. Now, how he used to sit down in a dark room, presumably, and just open a secret suitcase, like on Pulp Fiction, that did sort of gold glow in his face. And in there was a formula for creating just perfect soundtrack music for the movies. I don't know where he gets all his ideas from.
John Williams is the man. It's true.
So the reason we played Superman main title theme is catchy title is because Superman versus Batman, the trailer. A lot of people have been waiting. Everyone, I think, because the Marvel boys. They want to say it's awful, Marvel's better, and the DC chaps obviously want to say the opposite. I think Marvel should be scared, don't you?
And this is I'm gonna offer a dissenting opinion. I was bored by that trailer.
You were bored?
I was bored. Nothing in that film interests me at all. You've got Batman who.
Not even Henry
Cavill.
Yeah.
Well, no, because Batman, he's a very boring good guy. The thing about Batman is his enemies, and those are the interesting. They're the fun bits because they reflect different parts of his personality, and it's all very interesting. Yes, but then when you've got his enemy for this film being Superman,
another boring superhero,
who is very, very boring, and who, like, in the Superman film, had no personality at all. He was tedious. It was awful.
No, I think he pulled off very attractive, all-powerful alien god rather well. Because he's not going to have human traits, is he? As an alien.
Well, he had a human body.
Excuse
under
me while
there.
I check my muff.
Oh, well, you're right there.
Pardon me.
In your hand.
What do you mean he had a?
He had a human.
I don't think you could call that a human body.
Well,
that may have been enhanced with CGI. We'll never know. But did you know there was one man responsible for Superman's cape, the animation of Superman's cape? Same with Thor.
Is it like in Korean hair TV adverts for
I'm not sure it is.
like conditioner and shampoo, where as the model's kind of flicking their head, there's someone in a green morph suit behind them on a green screen flicking their hair around to make it look like it's flowing in the wind. Was he standing behind him in a green room flapping the cape?
I think it was purely a CGI affair. Surely.
That'd be a great thing to put on your CV. I was Henry Cavill's Cape Ninja.
Cape Ninja.
Cape Ninja.
Is that like a dinosaur supervisor?
Yeah,
for
Phil Tippett. Curse you, Phil.
Jurassic
He
Park?
had one job.
Now, Hans Zimmer, from an orchestral perspective, this is very interesting for me, anyway.
Yes.
Hans Zimmer has designed a theme for each and every one of the DC superheroes, and we'll be hearing bits and pieces of that in apparently the Justice League Part 1, which is due out 2017.
He's got too much time on his hands.
No, he does a very good job, I think, but...
Does he? Really? Interstellar?
The ferry thing and the organ thing and the please turn it down Hans Zimmer thing is perhaps a little annoying.
One of my main quibbles. Can I have a quibble?
You certainly you can.
Okay, thank you.
I've got a whole packet.
Oh, lovely. One of my main quibbles for Interstellar was that I couldn't hear what people were saying because Hans Zimmer had fallen asleep on the organ keyboard.
I think my main quibble with Interstellar is that even though you couldn't hear what anybody was saying, it wasn't worth hearing anyway, because
there is that.
It all got to the point where what little plot there was, in terms of character-driven plot anyway, all just became this mumbo-jumbo, timey-wimey. And again, we'll be talking about timey-wimey storylines.
Don't get me started.
In just a little while.
It's a little early for that. Don't make me peak too early.
We're asking the question throughout today's show, I should mention.
Oh, yeah.
Who said this?
Let's get silly.
Any ideas, Scott?
Do you know, I think I might have an idea for this
one. I hope you do.
I think if I shout it out right now, that would be...
no, you're not allowed to do that.
Okay.
That'll spoil all the fun of the game. If you know who said...
Let's get silly.
Do tweet us at ELR Comfortably and use the Facebook page if you fancy, which is facebook.com/ELR Comfortably.
Let's get silly.
Now, you were talking about Batman's villains, yes.
I can see where you're going with this segue. Do continue.
Yeah, well, the Suicide Squad movie looks to me like Guardians of the Galaxy,
yes,
but just so much better.
I would agree. Because everyone was so excited for Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm coming across as a right grumpy little...
No, don't worry. You're just taking the edge off me. It's fine.
Oh, that's all right then. Because everyone was so excited for Guardians of the Galaxy, and I went and saw it and was really quite disappointed.
I was immediately annoyed because it was just riding off of the success and great ideas that Farscape had.
There's your Farscape plug. Every flipping week, there's a Farscape mention.
It's true. The parallels are unreal. But anyway, you just have to take a look at my blog, rubox.co.uk, for what I have to say.
We've only an hour today. We don't have time to go into Farscape.
As much as I'd like.
Yes. But it was in itself, I've watched it again since, and in itself it's a perfectly good movie. It's fine, but it's not as amazing as everyone made it out to be. And Suicides, because it was just a bit...
It was Marvel.
Yeah.
There were no consequences.
No.
It's always the same with Marvel. Nobody dies, everybody lives. Oh, well, here comes a sequel.
Apart from in Avengers 2, which I've forgotten the tagline for, Age of Ultron, when the hot Russian guy dies. He was the hot one.
Is he dead, though?
Well, I think
the only reason he's dead is because the exact same character is in X-Men.
Is he?
Which is not their franchise.
That's true.
So they're probably like, let's get rid of him, he's too much trouble.
Well, it's the same universe.
No, X-Men... No, in the comics, yes. But not in the cinematic universe. Because apparently Deadpool is going to exist in the same universe as Fantastic Four and the X-Men. But that's different universe to the one Spider-Man is going into,
right?
With Thor and all the Iron Man and all that.
It's all very confusing.
It is, though, isn't it? Because Wolverine would often in the comics fight alongside the Avengers, wouldn't he?
Yes,
and he's
not
faffing about in X-Man land,
getting bigger and musclier with every new film. Soon he's not going to fit on the screen,
even though he's apparently the same age as he was in the beginning.
Yes,
according to the facts, the mythology of that particular series.
Well, yes. Anyway, we've digressed quite
the
considerably.
Suicide Squad,
yeah,
with Will Smith.
Yeah.
What do you mean, yeah?
Yeah, he had all the crappy lines in the trailer.
He had the trailer lines.
Yeah.
The lines designed specifically for trailer usage.
Yeah, and he's the one who gets to name check the movie. I always like that line. Whenever there's someone who uses the title of the movie in the movie, it gets a little yay
That's
from
the
me.
moment you'd always wait for in the James Bond movies, isn't it?
Yes.
So, Mr. Bond, you live to die another day.
Yes.
A little round of applause there in the cinema.
You want to take over the world? The world, Mr. Bond, is not enough.
Woo!
Yeah.
Foam hands.
Yeah. And Octopussy was a good one, but that was just...
I don't go that far back. I haven't seen them.
you're
I
too
should.
young.
I need to. In time for Spectre.
Yes. We'll probably have a whole episode dedicated to James Bond and Spectre when
Of course
that one
we
comes
will.
out. Yeah, why not?
Of course. In fact, I've seen that trailer, but we'll save that for another time.
But again, back to Suicide Squad, which
is clearly so exciting because we just can't talk about it for longer than 30 seconds at a time.
I'm quite looking forward to Harley Quinn. Actually, she's
she looks like
she's a cheeky
spectacular
minx.
casting there. Who are we looking at with?
I
Harley
can't
Quinn,
remember her name.
Margot Robbie.
Never heard of her. I'm sure she's famous.
Well,
I'm not good at knowing who
She looks
anyone
like
is.
she's doing very well with it.
And she's got her baseball bat. I'm glad she's got the baseball. That's her weapon of choice. In the games, certainly. I'm not so sure about the comics, to be honest. But she usually has a big hammer, I think, as well.
I just think that they are all. They're all. I mean, I never read the comics, but it looks like they're all splendidly cast, and it all looks like they're going to have their own. You know, it's not going to be this kind of you can swap them with any old character affair. It looks like they're all going to be driven in their own unique ways. The only thing I was slightly disappointed about is Will Smith using his ordinary Will Smith voice. I thought he could
Has
try
he
and
got
do
another one?
something a bit more interesting. I've never heard him act with
You've
a
never
different
heard him
voice.
act. He just does his
with
thing.
a different voice. I mean,
well, possibly. Should we talk about the Joker, since everyone else is?
yes. I mean,
Yeah.
I think they're doing a good job of building up to that and helping that transition, because obviously people very attached to Heath Ledger's Joker,
He did well. I see. For me,
and it was an unfinished job as well.
It
so,
was.
Yeah.
Originally, apparently, talking Batman movies and the Joker, it was going to be the Joker that shot Bane and saved Batman's life in The Dark Knight Rises.
Oh, that would have been fantastic,
wouldn't it? But
I mean, The Dark Knight
sadly
Rises
no.
was awful, but at least that would have
helped
it a
given
little.
it a little something. Anyway, I'm looking forward to
But if
seeing...
you could just shoot Bane that easily, why didn't Batman do it?
No guns, no killing. That's his rule. That's why he's
What,
a boring superhero.
Even when you get to Bane levels of destruction,
No
you wouldn't
guns,
think,
no
hang on,
killing.
perhaps it's best if I just shoot Bane and be done with it.
I think the main reason is probably
Bats
because
don't have guns.
there is that. There's also comic book bad guys are quite entertaining, and if you kill them off, you lose quite a large amount of your fan base. Whereas if you stick them in a cell somewhere that they might escape from in a couple of years, when you need to excite people again,
That's true.
it
No,
costs
not
another movie
in
and
a
the
cell.
comic.
If they're extremely good, they go in a glass box.
They do, don't they? But yeah, Jared Leto, he's not.
Oh,
going to
you're
be,
not impressed?
I'm looking forward to seeing what he's going to do with it. I am
Yes.
interested,
Yes.
but I'm not like wetting my pants.
I think it's an interesting mix of Heath Ledger's Joker and Jack Nicholson's.
I think I even saw a little bit of Cesar Romero, showing my age a bit here. 'Cause
Is he
I
the
used to-
original,
He's the
pow,
original,
Batman?
from the '60s TV series, and he very much had that
Oh, yes.
kind of campy
Yeah.
kind of,
Yeah.
and it was. And they've obviously gone a much darker, grittier way with it, but it has that grit, that giggle.
Well, it does seem like a very sort of psychotic, troubled movie.
And apparently they had a therapist on site at all times because of how dark and weird the movie was. Which to me,
That sounds like PR.
it does. It sounds it's either PR or it's wanky Hollywood actors not knowing when they're acting and when they're not. It's pretending.
What's his name? Sorry,
Jared Leto.
Jared Leto. Yeah, he stayed in character, didn't he? All
Yeah.
the time, even during lunch breaks and things.
Which,
Sending rats to people.
had I been on the cast with him, and I am available for phone calls regarding such things, and he was dancing around while I'm trying to have a sandwich, throwing dead rats at people and being the Joker, I would have had words, I think.
Yes, that's a grievancy right there, isn't it?
Yeah,
Fill out a
HR.
special form. And
HR.
you'll have to sit down and have a big old meeting about that one.
An intervention.
How can you get away with that in Hollywood? But you know, if I said I'm doing a play on the weekends, and I'm afraid I'm going to have to stay in character all week while I'm doing my administrational duties in some office job in London City. Therefore was chucking rats at people as that wouldn't be allowed.
Or if I'd sat down here with my pot of green tea and you'd mentioned casually halfway through the thing that there was a dead rat next to my tea bag, I'd not have been impressed. I would be a little on the miffed side, to say the least.
Just a touch, yes. We were going to mention as well, if we've got the time.
Oh, flip.
Sisters.
Yes.
Does that appeal to us? You've got Tina Fey in there, so usually Tina Fey projects do appeal to me, but this one just seems a bit...
Amy Poehler and Tina Fey in the same movie playing sisters. I am very excited.
By the way, this isn't
this.
a superhero
No,
movie.
this one's not a superhero movie, unlike the others that we've covered.
It's just
but
a movie.
It's the two ladies that brought us Mean Girls, which
yes,
which we all love.
But it looks to me as though this is going to be the kind of movie that makes us look at them as mean girls, making us sit through this.
No,
It just looks like two sisters setting up a party, and we're expected to sit through it. Why? What's the incentive for us?
Because they have such brilliant chemistry, such wit, and have you seen the trailer? Have you seen the
Yes,
trailer?
I've seen the trailer.
With the big guy who's like, my safe word is carry on.
But the jokes in the trailer didn't seem... they didn't make me laugh. And I'm thinking, if that's the best they can put in the trailer, then what can I anticipate from the movie? Not very much at all.
Ooh, well, I shall see you outside in just a minute.
Do you think it's time for us to...
Let's get silly.
That didn't work. But we're asking the question, who said...
Let's get silly.
If you know the answer, please do tweet us at ELR Comfortably and use the Facebook page, .com/ELR Comfortably. Don't forget to click the like button while you're there. Ooh. We were talking about Superman and Hans Zimmer and his fondness of ferries.
We did a bit, didn't we?
See if you can hear any in this Flight from Man of Steel. Not a ferry in sight there by Hans Zimmer. I think he did a fantastic job of making that soundtrack Superman's theme, probably. That's going to be in Justice League 1 as well. I think he did a good job of making that sound like magical and from space and unbelievable and wow. That's what.
And now I have to sit through 2 hours of film when I got it from that music. That was good music.
Yeah.
Tick.
Well, we were talking about the order of the movies.
Yes.
You got Batman.
Yes.
In Suicide Squad.
Yes.
After Batman versus Superman.
Yes, it's the same universe. It's the same. It's the continuity.
So then, why are we watching Batman versus Superman?
I'm not. Are you?
Yes.
Well, I probably
You're
will.
going to have to for the show.
Well, yes. Otherwise, I'll have nothing to talk about. But
why? What's at stake in Batman vs Superman when we know that Batman's going to be in the next movie?
Also,
they're not even going to do a pretend death, which is all the rage at the moment. But more on that later.
But then the new Batman, he looks like Iron Man.
What do you mean?
He's got that kind of big metallic cowl.
He pretty much is. He's DC's
He's got glowing eyes, and
he's just a rich bloke.
Which is fair enough. I mean, like Tony Stark and Bruce Wayne. Are pretty much each other's,
Well, that'll be the next
version.
crossover, won't it? One day,
well,
Iron Man versus Batman.
Well, apparently, Robert Downey Jr. has signed up for the upcoming Infinity War double bill, the Part 1 and Part 2, as Iron Man, and then he says that's it. That's enough for him, which I think is quite...
Yes, but is that a Nigel Farage? That's enough
Well,
for me.
Quite possibly. Nigel Farage as Iron Man. Big purple and gold thing flying around, blowing up.
Yeah, just keeping an eye on the cliffs of Dover. Yes, I want to see that as a spoof, please, on YouTube immediately.
Let's crash on before we get taken off the air.
And I thought my jokes were bad. That is Hans Zimmer
again.
With James Newton Howard for Dark Knight. That was some Joker-related orchestral shizzle going on there.
We're big on the epic dramatic music today. I'm enjoying it.
We are. I was going to play some slower stuff later, but there was just too much of the exciting stuff to say no to be honest. This is where we... well, in just a moment, actually, because I'm going to ask the question one more time. Who said this?
Let's get silly.
Any ideas, Scott?
Is it McBain?
Good idea. You're not allowed to say that yet.
Jay, my new film is a mix of action and comedy. It's called McBain. Let's get silly. Did you ever notice how men always leave the toilet seat up? That's the joke. You suck, McBain! The film is just me in front of a brick wall for an hour and a half. It cost $80 million.
How do you sleep at night?
On top of a pile of money with many beautiful ladies.
It's the Simpsons' answer to Arnold Schwarzenegger,
Yes.
which leads us nicely into the part of the show,
Yeah.
which is next, our main feature, a movie review of Terminator Genisys. We're going to get to that, but you're going to fill our listeners in
I am.
on what exactly happened in all the movies prior.
Yeah,
In just
because-
30 seconds.
I am, because you went into this cold, didn't you? Having not seen any of the previous Terminator films.
That's right, except for all the spoofage, the inevitable spoofage
Yes.
that comes after an iconic franchise. Hits the big screen. Here we go. 30 seconds worth, please.
Right. In the future, the Skynet, an evil computer program, has taken over the world and is killing off all the humans. In the first film, they send a robot back to kill the leader of the human resistance, Zmum. But so then So then they send back a guy to protect her, who falls in love with her and actually fathers the leader of the resistance. And that's only the first movie, and I've done this very badly. There's a lot of explosions.
My understanding is that the same thing happens in every movie with little slight changes to the cast, mainly, but also to, storylines. That's the nature of timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly.
Yeah, the first two are pretty good because things happen in the first one and they build on that in the second one with even more things happening. Then the third one, there's a lady, stuff explodes. And then there's the fourth one. There's the fourth one where stuff explodes all the time and someone saves the world with a USB stick.
Oh no, that was a film of the moment.
That is literally
Which one was this?
the last one.
What, Salvation?
Yeah.
What, with a USB stick? But that was a
Yeah.
modern movie.
Yeah.
You can't be doing that.
Yeah.
I thought maybe Terminator 3 with a floppy disk, that would make sense. But Salvation was
Well-
a noughties movie, wasn't it? It was like a big...
It's not long ago. It was, and it's a bad movie. They got progressively worse. 1 and 2, awesome, thoughtful, interesting. 3 and 4, avoid. Stop at 2.
And Genisys.
Well, you're going to review now for 30 seconds and tell us what you thought. Of
Well, I
Genisys.
will after Fate and Hope. But what I'll say
okay.
before that is at least Lorne Balfe's music isn't quite as bad as Terminator Genisys.
Ooh, scathing.
Hello, we're on.
Ooh,
I should probably
goodness.
tell you. When
Yeah,
we're
it's
on.
always
That's
more
the
fun
thing.
if you do.
Or we need one of those big lights that says "You're live." Shut
air.
up. That'd be good. Yeah, we need one of them.
No effing and
If
jeffing.
anybody wants to donate a live light to East London Radio, let us know. Okay, so Terminator Genisys. That was a nice bit of slow music there, in contrast to our earlier excitement.
Dramatic.
Yeah. I'm going to give you, or try to give you, 30 seconds worth of what happens in Terminator Genisys.
This should be interesting.
Okay, so Terminator Genisys is kind of a rewrite of the original movie, from what I can gather. It recreates naked, young Arnold Schwarzenegger zapping himself into the past. But old Arnold Schwarzenegger comes and kills young Schwarzenegger. And then it's a race against time for John Connor and Sarah Connor and old Arnie working together to stop a little kid who is actually Skynet or something, like an invisible child, in the form of Genisys, a computer program, starting it and killing everyone.
Near enough. Yeah, that'll do. Yeah.
It's very difficult to cram it in. You know exactly where you're going by about 15 seconds in, and then you just got to make sure you squeeze it all out.
Much like my sex life.
Genisys then. Genisys. The name makes sense. The spelling doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
No,
Even the name.
Genesis.
Yes.
What happens in Genesis in the Bible? Things begin. This is the beginning of a new trilogy, by the way.
Yeah.
So they've rewritten the timeline, basically.
Yeah. Timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly.
But Genisys, the
Genisys.
spelling doesn't work. The Y should be somewhere else. But then if you were releasing a nifty computer program that apparently syncs all of your phones and tablets together as though we don't have that already.
Yes, that
you would
was...
call it something like Genisys, wouldn't you?
I like Skynet. If I'm going to connect all of my things
Yeah,
together,
that's true.
I'd actually prefer Skynet.
Why
Why change the name? Why fanny about with a silly spelling of a word that doesn't mean anything?
was it called Skynet in the first place then?
Yeah,
Skynet's a better name.
The evil thing that controls the Terminators is called Skynet. Brilliant name. Keep that.
Yeah, don't fix it if it ain't broke, eh?
Well, quite.
So,
which is the theme for this movie, I think, really.
well, yes. Now, yes. Last night I didn't watch the whole of Terminator 1, but I did because I went in cold with Terminator Genisys. What?
It's a great movie. Stuff happens towards the end.
What do you mean?
Well, you'll have to watch it and find out.
Well, I tuned in to just the opening. That's how it dawned on me that it's pretty much the same, except Genisys is on some sort of hyperactive, drug-induced, I don't know, adventure. And the first one takes its time. It's very slow about it, and it depicts, in my opinion, a more believable future. All this CGI nonsense that Genisys goes for means that we can't suspend our disbelief because what we're watching is basically an animated, like children's film.
Well, it's a children's film with big tanks rolling over piles of skulls.
No, that was the first one. Did we see skulls in Genisys?
Yeah.
Did we?
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah. Well, I think I remember someone saying, and I
Skulls
noticed
were scarier in the first one.
Yeah, it was a lot scarier in the first one because they were physical models rather than just
Precisely.
messing about with CGI. But yeah, someone was saying that a lot of the shots from the original Terminator film were matched or reimagined in the new one, along with all the iconic lines from the entire franchise. Were in, "Come with me if you want to live.
I'll be back."
Yeah.
As we were saying that he should have at least put a twist on it, something like, "I might be back."
Yes.
I could be back.
Yeah. I probably won't be back.
Yeah.
Things like that. Yeah. But they didn't.
Unfortunately, he will be back in a sequel.
Yeah.
Um,
If he survives, I mean, if he lives that long, he's getting on, bless him.
but I'm not sure why the film existed. I'm very confused.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Is this what people want to see? Because the storyline it could only happen through nonsensical events that contradict the film's old style mythos. There was a whole section where Arnold Schwarzenegger was trying to explain, you've got a fly in your face there, was trying to explain why someone's remembering two timelines, and the excuse was just because he...
Wibbly wobbly timey wimey. That was
Just
actually one of
talking
my
up and
favourite
confusing.
bits of the films, was hearing Arnold Schwarzenegger trying to explain something really complex and quantum mechanics based about time travel and alternate timelines when he can't even pronounce Sarah Connor properly.
How does he say it?
Sierra Connor. And like,
It's worth a try.
yes, but then to have him talking about alternate timelines and quantum dynamics and things like that
Yeah, but
was...
he didn't really, did he? He just said the words.
He just kind of mumbled a few... Yeah,
strung them together
yeah.
somehow. And we're just expected to nod and go with it.
Which
Which is what I mean. The amount of effort
bad.
that they've gone to try and convince us that this film is necessary must mean that there's a demand for it. Were you sitting around thinking, good Lord, I really wish there was a fifth Terminator movie because the last two were just so good. It's whet my appetite for even more.
No. And, do you know, I think this is my theory as to why James Cameron has come out and said...
It's the official third film.
Yeah, because I think all that happened was someone rang him up and said, we're making another movie that's going to undo 3 and 4. And he went, brilliant, where do I sign?
Yes.
Because they were so bad. But he didn't actually bother to watch this one. And
No, I feel like he has. From what I've read, he came out of a screening of this and said that.
Really?
Yes,
Wow.
on the other end.
Ugh.
Perhaps at gunpoint, we'll never know.
perhaps.
Perhaps he himself had been turned into a T.
Yeah, he's been replaced by the liquid metal
Yes.
mimetic alloy Terminator.
Exactly.
And I just... It wasn't just the time travel and the messing about with that annoyed the hell out of me. When, like, I sat there and they'd go, so now we have to go somewhere else. And I was like, why?
Yes.
What?
But just for the sake of some more time travel.
Because now we must have a more dangerous movie. We know that Skynet is going to launch in 20 years, so rather than building up our resources for the next 2 decades, we're going to jump forward in time to one day before it goes live, and then we've got a dramatic run against a clock for no reason.
But this is true. As much as I didn't like the time travel, interestingly enough, this is the first film, by the way, in the Terminator franchise that actually shows how people time travel.
Yes, and part of the brilliance of the early movies was that the technology wasn't the center of it.
Yes, it was the story and the characters,
which is why they were great set in the 80s and I think early 90s. It was just that in life as we know it, there is someone who looks human, but is actually an unstoppable killing machine.
You don't
He's
need to
coming,
know
and he
the
does
rest,
not
do you?
stop until you're dead. And but then suddenly it's all about stuff like technology.
Genisys.
Yeah.
No, look, I was going to say, as much as I didn't like the time travel, I preferred it to when they travelled by helicopter later in the movie.
Yes, I think this is the first time I've ever actually watched a movie and exclaimed while watching, because I'm quite a considerate moviegoer.
Yes.
I like to,
But by that point,
Yeah.
it had taken the biscuit.
and I actually said out loud, "That's not how helicopters work."
Well, it isn't. And you know what? Everybody who made the movie knew that. And they must have just shrugged it off and gone, it doesn't matter. The audience will think it's cool. Well, no, actually, because your audience thinks story and character-driven events are more interesting than seeing a helicopter do somersaults in midair for no apparent. We don't need that.
My
It's
favourite bit
unnecessary.
of-
It's flab. It's CGI.
To the point where
Very skilled CGI,
Yeah, well-
but unnecessary. We don't need to see it. Use it
No.
somewhere else.
That
Pop
my,
over to
my
Jurassic
favourite
World.
bit, well, yeah, just take it over there, just leave it on that island. But my favourite bit of the helicopter thing was where it turned on its side to fit through a gap.
Yes, but then
That's not how helicopters work.
I'm not a scientist, but doesn't a helicopter need a certain amount of sort of space around? Because it's all about air.
It also needs the spinny bit to be on the top, because that's the bit that pushes it up.
Well, you know, I'm not a scientist, but I did watch Budgie the Helicopter, so I know I know more than enough.
Yes.
Unacceptable. It's a
Yes.
bit, it reminds me of that scene from Mission Impossible where the helicopter flies through the Euro.
Through the tunnel.
Yes,
Through the channel.
It's not. Is it the Euro?
It's the Eurostar tunnel.
Channel?
It's the Channel tunnel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Again, what were they thinking? I mean, at least there wasn't so much glossy CGI in that. But and the other thing about Genisys is that all of
There are so many things about
a
Genesis.
lot of this was in the trailer.
Yeah. And
I mean, it's absolutely not worth sounding our spoiler horn
yet you did.
over the fact
Because you love that spoiler horn every week.
that John Connor is not John Connor, because it's all in the trailer. You just got to pay attention. It's there. What's the
Yeah.
point? We know what's going to happen.
It's a massive spoiler, and if you're not going to build up the for a big reveal, then why bother? But then we said the same thing. Oh no. I was about
What?
I was about to give away the ending, but I won't.
Well, it depends how you put it, I suppose.
I'm not going to put it. I'm going to say that we watched it, so you don't have to. Let's leave it at that, because I'm not going to recommend anyone see it, but I don't want to spoil it in case anyone else does.
Look, you spoil it by watching it in the first
Yes,
place.
I've spoilt
But
my life by I've dedicated some brain cells to remembering that film, and the only thing I can do is drink until they die. I think that's the only way to fix this.
Are you suggesting that the way the movie insinuates there will be a second and a third
Yes.
is unacceptable?
Yes.
Because I agree.
Yes.
Unacceptable.
It actually annoyed me.
It's like...
We were out of our... There's a post-credit sequence.
Well,
Is that enough?
Yes.
Yeah, like a mid-credit sequence, because everyone has to have those now. It's
true.
God forbid you end your movie and then show the credits.
That's the only point in these kind of movies where anything happens. Like at the end of Avengers 2, we had to sit and watch
15
Thanos
minutes.
for the 600th time rather, just making vague threats towards the camera, in an effort to push us a little closer to Infinity War. Why must we sit through this whole movie if you can't be bothered to do anything until the next movie? And it's the same the next movie as well, because you're saying it'll all happen next time. Well, thanks for taking our money in the meantime. We want stuff to happen, and stuff that isn't just purely CGI helicopter adventures.
Wankery.
Please. Yes.
And so they do that and they build up, the post-credit sequence is going to be amazing. And then they did one for Guardians of the Galaxy, which was Howard the Duck. Which was
Yes.
even worse. I sit through 15 minutes of people's names. I don't care. Well done on making a movie. You got paid. Off you go.
I mean, that was Guardians of the Galaxy, though, and it wasn't the norm. But I think Marvel are going down that route and becoming Carry On Marvel. It's all getting very camp.
I see what you did there.
Well, because they're carrying on relentlessly.
Yeah, just whether we want them to or not.
Yes, but this is why I think, going back to the beginning of our show, I think Suicide Squad looks like the modern equivalent of the kind of mood the original Terminator was setting back in the day. I think, except for where the Superman versus Batman trailer all starts looking a bit like a PS2 video game, but Suicide Squad at least looks like it's going to take its time and isn't going to revolve purely around like set pieces and CGI, could you say?
Yeah, I think rather than saying it looks like the DC version of Guardians of the Galaxy, I'm going to say perhaps it's a bit more like the DC version of the A-Team. Because that's got a happier vibe to it for me. I'd rather it be a bit more A-Teamy, a little bit scrappy, a little bit kind of...
But the A-Team is, as you say, it's sort of a cheery adventure.
Well, yeah,
and
but
Suicide Squad is doom and gloom.
Then they're the dark and evil, slightly sinister side of the A-Team.
Z-Team.
Yeah, Z-Team.
Yeah, I like
Z-Team.
Now we've got one more track from Terminator Genisys. I'm going to give you a choice, Scott, between Judgment Day or Sacrifice. I quite like Sacrifice.
Oh, well, as I'm a guest on your show, I will defer to your judgment. Let's go with Sacrifice.
Sacrifice. Here we go.
It's not the Phil Collins. No,
it's Lorne Balfe working his magic.
Excellent.
Doing his best to improve the visual material he was given. We have hurtled to the end of the show much quicker than we hurtled to the end of Terminator Genisys. That went on forever.
It did a bit.
But the music was good.
Yeah. It was one of the best bits.
Music I'd like to write to. There's not just action-packed stuff in there.
Dear music, you were very good. I'm a big fan.
Inspirational.
Oh, I
if you
see.
sit down to write some fiction, it's going to get all kinds of images running through your head. On Lorne Balfe's soundtrack for Terminator Genisys, there is also a lot of slow kind of... I'm thinking about things and reminiscing and telling stories. There was a lot of that happening in Terminator.
Making stuff up because we've messed with the timeline so much, none of it makes sense anymore.
Well, there's a lot of music on that soundtrack to back that up. So you've got a nice mix there, and one of my favourites is called Family. You should check it out. It all goes very sort of dangerous at the end as well. So a nice mix.
So it's not kind of we are family.
It isn't. Although that
I've
too
got my
is
Terminator
good.
with me.
Yeah, well, that isn't.
Okay.
I hope that the new Terminator threequel will go the way of the Amazing Spider-Man threequel, and they'll stop when they realise that 2 is quite enough.
It's far too much, in fact.
It's also going to be Arnie's last Terminator next one.
He
so
said
the third
that
one's
before.
going to be without.
He said that
did,
at 2.
Yeah. Yeah, and he was in 3, was he?
Yeah.
He was.
Yeah. He was fighting a lady in 3. Although the weirdest thing, I found the young Arnie in this one so weirdly CGI'd. They like made his face look very strange. His
there
cheekbones.
Was no need because that original footage existed.
Yeah.
I don't know why they had to gloss it up. It looked like an advert for the new Action Man.
I thought he reminded me of Lara Croft from one of the earlier Tomb Raider games, like really angular and a bit strange looking.
Although in Terminator 1, when he was walking towards the punks who say, "What's wrong with this picture?" You can actually see his man bits flopping around.
Is there a bit of dangle?
Whereas in the new one, you can't. They've shadowed it out.
Oh.
It's all been made very. It's been watered down. The violence, the everything about it. They're not very.
It's
but,
the
if you've got a
homeopathic
naked man
Terminator.
in the street, if you write that down on a bit of paper in your script, naked man from future walks down street. Let's have him naked, thanks.
Yeah. Do you really want to see Arnold Schwarzenegger's Willy?
Well, we want to. We saw the blue guys genitalia
Watchmen,
in the
yeah.
Watchman, so it can be done.
I think it's time to end the show right there.
on that bombshell. We've got a show next week.
We have.
At 12 again.
Yes.
And guess what we'll be talking about?
Ooh, I'm assuming it'll be Ant-Man.
It will be Ant-Man. So to play us out, it's Christoph Beck. I've had a wonderful time doing this with you again, Scott.
Oh, as have I. I'll see you next week, I hope.
We will hear you. You'll hear us next week at 12 on East London Radio. Thanks.
Join us next week for another thrilling episode of Are You Sitting Comfortably?